Well, we've covered the first two of the principles. We've talked about how to prioritize and why we should prioritize remediation, of course, to get to the core of autism. And we've also talked about a series of objectives in the first 8 stages that are critical to laying the foundations. Now, we're going to spend the rest of our time discussing the remaining 5 basic principles of RDI. And we'll start with developing a customized and balanced plan of intervention. One thing that we want to focus on is that even though there are many similarities in everyone on the autism spectrum, especially in the core deficits, we also know that each child is a unique individual with their own strengths and weaknesses. In fact, the diversity of people who are on the autism spectrum is truly amazing. And any kind of an intervention plan that's going to have a chance of success has to be able to customize its methods based on the unique obstacles and opportunities that each child presents. The slide you're seeing now presents just a small sample of the type of obstacles that are critical to assess and develop modifications for when developing a treatment plan for someone on the autism spectrum. Things like sensory motor difficulties, distractibility, either external or internal distractibility, how sometimes language can be used by the child as an obstacle to communication, especially if language is developed without first developing thoughtfulness. How some children and teens and adults can become highly defensive about any attempt to lead them into unpredictability or productive uncertainty, no matter how gentle that is, and have developed intense defense mechanisms that we have to acknowledge. How some people on the autism spectrum have another disorder that leads them to have a very low tolerance frustration and to become quite angry and upset with just the slightest degree of frustration or difficulty. We call that an emotional dysregulation problem. Some of the children we see, because of prior interventions, have become extremely prompt dependent. In fact, they do almost nothing unless someone else tells them or provides them with the cue first. Many of the children have learned that they can have some degree of success trying to control other people around them to create a static system. And we have to substitute control and get rid of control and substitute competence. But first, in order to be competent, you have to be an apprentice. Some children are extremely disorganized, especially visually, and everything they look at seems to capture their brain. And we have to create a minimal setting, putting away all the potential visual distractions when we first begin to work with them. So this is just a small sample of obstacles that we might encounter. I just want to show you a brief video clip of just one of these obstacles, just to gain an appreciation of how powerful the obstacle can be and how much that obstacle can actually mask an accurate ability of determining the child's motivation and potential in the area of dynamic intelligence.